Welcome. Welcome to the amendment class on CENVAT credit scheme. So, very important, this is very important. This topic is very important for your examination. There are plenty of changes in 2016 budget. Maybe you are aware. Maybe you might be discussing with your friend circle also that there are plenty of changes. That too, CENVAT credit scheme is a very technical topic, and moreover, dekha jaye to, if you look at things, it is not only technical but also connected with service tax and excise as well. So because this is common to both excise and service tax, questions are inevitable. Automatically, any question paper, if you look at any question paper, you don't find a question paper without CENVAT credit scheme. So without CENVAT credit scheme, it is difficult to get good scoring in your indirect access paper. Okay? So what I am going to do is, I systematically discuss point wise all the major changes in CENVAT credit scheme, particularly that have taken place in 2016 budget, and which is useful and necessary and essential for November 2016 exam onwards, right? Let us see. Start with, it's a very important area. Okay, so what I do is, I just give a briefing and then I will go for PPT presentation also. Come on, see. First of all, what I do is, the matching part, rule 37B, you already know. This is a very technical area. Rule 37B gives you a glimpse of idea about how a particular duty can be set off against a particular duty or tax, as the case may be. That is, you can say interchangeability of duties and taxes. These interchangeabilities of duties and taxes has been given under Rule 37B, right? See, in the table, of course, in the book also, it has been provided in the same way. On the left side, duties and taxes on which CENVAT credit is available. Getting my point? On the left side, duties and taxes on which CENVAT credit is available. That is Rule 3.1. And on the right side, duties and taxes against which these duties and taxes can be set off. So here, automatically, we come across the one-to-one correlation principle, one-to-one non-correlation principle, etc. So that's what I'm going to show you, because there are certain changes which are relevant and which are important also. So I'll show you through PPT presentation those changes, and plus number 2, there are certain changes in definitions. See the definition part. And definitions particularly, you see, capital goods, Rule 2A, Rule 2A of CENVAT credit rules, and inputs, Rule 2K, and input service, nothing significant. Exempted services. What is exempted service, what is not? This is again Rule 2E. Rule 2M, input service distributor, small change like this. Definition, changes in definition, of course, in input service also small change is there, not significant. So these the definition parts, and thirdly what I am going to discuss is changes in the provisions, changes in rules. So changes in rules, what are the changes in rule 3, 4, 5, etc., etc., etc. In plenty of rules there are changes, and there are certain changes which are very significant also. So make sure that you are aware of the changes before you attempt this examination, that is November 2016. Okay, so straight away what I do is I'll take you away direct to matching principle, interchangeability of duties given under rule 37B. And about that, let me give you a brief introduction. What is that brief introduction? Say for example, CENVAT credit is available on various duties and taxes paid on inputs, input services and capital goods, right? That which we know. So CENVAT credit is available on, say, what are the things we pay? Duties, and taxes. These duties and taxes paid on number 1 inputs, number 2 capital goods, and number 3 input services, right? This is the preliminary understanding. Everybody knows inputs, capital goods and input services. What is input? Defined. What is capital goods? Defined. What is input services? Defined. There is no difficulty. But the question is, this credit, the credit can be utilized. So the question of taking credit, this is given under rule 3.1. What about utilization? This credit can be utilized for certain purposes, and primarily, mainly, the rules have given, rule 3.4 in particular has given 5 uses. What are the 5 uses? Just you know, service provider to pay service tax on output service, manufacturer to pay excise duty on final product, plus 3 more. To pay on repair reconditioned goods, that is reversal. They are talking about payment or reversal as the case may be. And similarly, when the inputs are removed as such or without manufacturing process, or capital goods when they are removed as such without use. So in such cases, some amount is payable, so existing credit can be used. That is basic and primary uses. That setup is okay, and that is subject to certain conditions. Conditions have been given through provisos. If you read through rule 3.4 provisos also, you will get all the conditions. Subject to these conditions, you are utilizing the CENVAT credit there. Okay? And but separately, 3.7b gives you the matching principle. It's a very, very important point. You cannot ignore this. What you mean by matching principle means here, any duty at input level can be used to pay any duty at output level, or any tax at output level? Not necessarily so. There is restriction. There are restrictions. So you have to read together rule 3.4 with provisos and also rule 3.7b. Of course, along with rule 3.1, because rule 3.1 provides the base. What are the duties and taxes on which CENVAT credit is available? But how they can be utilized? And what are the conditions for utilization? You find under rule 3.4 in provisos and also 3.7b. And that matching principle given under rule 3.7b by combining all these three aspects, I am giving you the matching principle, explaining to you the matching principle, which you have to understand. Otherwise, understanding CENVAT credit in essence is not possible. Okay, so let's go. Let's have a quick moment. Let's go into that. And what I do is I will go into the PPT presentation. Okay. Let me go for PPT presentation. Yes, we got it. So, welcome. Look at this. This says Rule 37B. Okay. Rule 37B. So, what is there in Rule 37B? You are able to see it. Matching of input duties and taxes versus output duties and taxes. Left side, you see, left side, duties and taxes paid at input level. There is CENVAT, special excise duty, ADE, GSI, service tax, CVD, special CVD, and national calamity contingent duty, NCCD, and ADE, T and TW, and ADE under section 85, that is also known as health cess, very popularly known as health cess, and ADE, TTA, Textile and Textile Articles Act, additional duty on textiles, of course you know, they are matching. Okay. So, how this can be utilized or cannot be utilized, that has been given. So, before that, let us look at this background. This background helps us. So, CENVAT credit can be taken on duties and taxes paid on input capital goods and input services, that much you know. And utilization can be used for number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 uses for which CENVAT credit can be used. And further, terms and conditions have been given. Okay. So, before we go for the conditions, because with that it is complete, let's go for matching principle. Look at 1 to 5. Try to read this and try to hear me and understand, try to understand carefully. CENVAT said ADE, GSI, service tax and CVD. These are the five things. These 5 put together I take as taxes which can be used for any tax or duty payable at the output level on the right side, can be used. So, for them 1-to-1 correlation principle need not be followed. Say that has been written, of course, on the right side, right hand side. Right hand side, if you see, can be utilized for all duties and taxes except, this exception is very important, except health cess. Means to pay health cess you can't use, and to pay NCCD, national calamity contingent duty, no. Earlier there was some relaxation. Earlier what was there? Those duties can be paid, used to pay NCCD on all products except mobiles. Now it has been restricted, nothing at all. No duty on NCCD, no NCCD can be paid from these duties, any product. So, similarly, clean energy cess, also known as clean environment cess, Krishi Kalyan cess, of course, Krishi Kalyan cess is not immediately for, it's not for November examination, because Krishi Kalyan cess is not payable. It is payable at 0.5%, but with effect from 14th May. So, for November examination it is not necessary, not relevant, even infrastructure cess. But instead I say Swachh Bharat cess. What about Swachh Bharat cess? Of course, it was not there, not written, but you should know Swachh Bharat cess is already applicable, that is being paid. So even to pay Swachh Bharat cess, you can't use the any of the 5. So health cess, NCCD, clean environment cess, and Swachh Bharat cess cannot be paid from any of the 5. And all else, what else? All else can be paid. If anything else is payable, these can be used. For example, CENVAT balance is available with you. That CENVAT balance, CENVAT means basic duty, that can be used to pay, say for example, service tax, that can be used to pay ADE, TTA, ADE, T and TW, means Textile and Textile Articles Act, textile, T and T waste. But remember, right now at present these are under exemption. Duty is not being paid. Additional duty of excise on Textile and Textile Articles Act. These are T and T waste, they are exempt, they are enjoying exemption. But technically speaking, exemption is temporary. But technically speaking, if exemption is lifted, that comes into picture, and this became useful, that the credit can be used to pay there. Okay. So, but NCCD you can't pay. Okay. So that is the case with first 5. What about the next ones? 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8, 9. So very interestingly, they are, for them, one-to-one correlation principle is necessary. You have to apply one-to-one correlation principle. For example, NCCD can be paid only for NCCD. Suppose NCCD balance is not available. Of course, you know, this has to be paid by cash. Suppose at output level you have to pay NCCD, National Calamity Contingent Duty. You don't have credit balance here, you have to pay in cash. Suppose there is a credit balance here and then no duty is payable, no NCCD is payable at the output level. This is only carried forward. This cannot be used for any other duty or tax. That is the nature of one-to-one correlation principle. Same is the case with, say, others like ADE, T and T waste. T and T waste, additional duty on T and T waste can be used only for additional duty payable on T and T waste, but not otherwise. Carry forward. If it is not payable, you carry this forward, okay, because it won't get lapsed. And AD under section 85, that is health cess. If the health cess balance is available, you can use it to pay health cess only. And there is no balance here at the credit, no credit balance is here, so you have to pay from your pocket, you have to pay in cash. Okay. Suppose there is a health cess balance here and no health cess is payable or surplus is there, simply carry it forward. Carry forward. Okay. So that is the story. These 6 to 9 categories, 6, 7, 8, 9 categories, they can be used only for their counterparts, duties or taxes payable at the output level, output service level, but not for anything else, others, because they have to, for them, one-to-one correlation principle is to be applicable. NCCD can be only for NCCD, nothing else. AD, health cess can be used only for health cess and for nothing else. This thing you should understand very clearly, carefully, and subject to and limitations and conditions and limitations. Read these carefully, because this forms core part of the utilization. So utilization subject to matching of duties under 37B. So 37B principle we have seen already. Health cess cannot be paid from any duty or tax except from health cess, obviously. We have advance utilization. Already you know the principle. Advance means any balance available by the month end can only be used to pay the duty or tax payable for that particular month. Same is the case with the quarter. So the amount available, the duty amount available by 31st January, that can be used only for payment of duties for the month of January. For the month of January. Maybe you are paying on 6th February, next month, but anything earned in February cannot be used to pay on 6th February, because the 6th February you are paying for the month of January. February's earnings cannot be used to pay to dispose of the liability of January month. That is advance utilization. You please go through the recorded classes where it was specifically mentioned. Okay, and certain units to follow one-to-one correlation. You know that Northeast region, Kutch district of Gujarat, etc., because they are having special advantages under Rule 12. Service provider not eligible to take credit on special CVD, because he is a service provider, he is not a seller, he is not selling anything further. Why should he get CENVAT credit on sales tax paid? Because special CVD is nothing but sales tax paid, so that will lapse. He won't get the credit, obviously he can't utilize it. And next, NCCD can be paid only from credit on NCCD, only on NCCD. And clean energy cess shall be paid only in cash. It is being now called as clean environment cess. Same, only in cash, because you know clean environment cess or energy cess, whatever it is, that is collected on coal, coke and peat, lignite, coal, coke and peat, that is also variety of coal. The coal variety producers are polluting the environment. That is the stake, that is the claim made by the Environment Ministry. So because they are polluting the environment, we have to collect some amount from them as a compensation, because to keep the environment clean, government is made to spend some money. So let us collect from them. So earlier 100 rupees was reduced to 50, again 100, 200. They have increased it. Now they are paying, and this amount will not go to Ministry of Finance. So this is collected by Ministry of Finance and that is deposited separately. Obviously that will go to Environment Ministry. So that is the reason why existing CENVAT credit cannot be used to pay this. So it doesn't have its own CENVAT credit, but at the same time any CENVAT credit on anything else, on services or inputs, capital goods, etc., the user, the coal producer, the coke producer cannot use his existing CENVAT credit balance to pay this clean environment cess. He has to pay in cash separately, right? So that's the reason why this restriction has been put here. CENVAT credit cannot be used for payment of duty or goods under notification 1/2011 and 12/2012. You know this because there are about 130 products on which 2% duty is payable. Still they are under the definition exempted goods. If you refer to definition Rule 2D, you will find this. So these are exempted goods. Obviously no CENVAT credit can be taken on the inputs used or input services used to manufacture them. So there is no CENVAT credit available, and at the same time to pay them, any CENVAT credit of any other product or products cannot be used. Obviously you have to pay in cash, and service receiver paying service tax under reverse charge is not allowed to use the credit on service tax paid on input services. See, how can he take service receiver paying reverse service tax under reverse charge means it is input level service, right? Under reverse charge you are paying means you are paying on input services, and you have to pay there. To pay input services, how can you use the CENVAT credit? Input service credit, input level credit cannot be used to pay input level taxes. Input level taxes can be used only to pay output level taxes. Please read rule 3.4. This is not an output level tax. Input versus input, not possible. So you have to pay in cash, and on paying you will get the credit and use it for paying service tax on output services, not on input services under reverse charge. So obviously Krishi Kalyan cess can be paid from the credit balance of Krishi Kalyan cess only, not for November attempt. And November, after beyond November, if anybody is attempting, for him it is relevant, Krishi Kalyan cess. Okay, so these are the things. This is the thing we have to see, we have to understand clearly. So with this understanding, we will be able to do matching. Sometimes there can be practical question also, that risk is there. Okay, that risk is there. To avoid that risk, what I do is, I will give you small examples. I will give you small examples so that you will be able to understand the working matching principle. Okay, so what is that we have learned through matching principle? Let us see. Let me give you small questions like this. For example, a CENVAT credit balance is there. CENVAT credit available. Let us say credit available. Say number 1, you have CENVAT, that is basic duty, 50,000 rupees. Number 2, you have NCCD, you have health cess, okay, you have health cess. Say this is, say 10,000 rupees, say this is 5,000 rupees. These are the balances available. Okay. Okay. Now, credit payable. Let us say, what are the credits payable? Okay, some duties are payable obviously. What are the duties payable? Is a manufacturer payable? Basic duty, say let us call it CENVAT, 35,000. Okay, and NCCD. NCCD payable 15,000 and say health cess payable say 10,000. Let's assume some other tax like ADE, TTA. Textile and Textile Articles Act. See, hypothetically I am taking this, but practically right now ADE, TTA is exempt. Now it's under exempt, but just you can say just for idea, okay? Just for idea I am taking this. Technically say 7,000 rupees payable. Come on, how do you match this? You should understand the matching principle. So once you do it, yes, you are through. So CENVAT can be, it's a CENVAT said 5 categories: CENVAT, said service tax, AD, GSI and CVD portion, or even special CVD portion can be used for payment of any tax or duty at the output level, except exceptions are there. You know, clean environment cess they can't pay, and health cess they can't pay, NCCD they can't pay, like that. Right? So now CENVAT credit balance, this 35,000, yes, this can be used comfortably, and still 15,000 left over. And but here NCCD balance can be used only for NCCD. You know, there is it is one-to-one correlation principle based, and health cess only for health cess, horizontal matching, not otherwise. So because they are not otherwise, so this can be used here and this can be used here. There is no issue, but there is a balance. There is a shortage of 5,000. There is a shortage of 5,000. How to meet this? Can we meet from the surplus of this CENVAT balance? No, this cannot be used. So this is to be cash. This is to be cash. Paid in cash only. There is no option. And what about the 7,000? This can be used. So after paying 35,000 rupees, you have 15,000 surplus. Out of that 15,000, you can pay this 7,000. So to put it like this, 50,000 rupees minus 35,000 rupees minus 7,000 rupees. Okay. So 42,000 you are meeting, 8,000 is there. This 8,000 cannot be used anywhere else. So this is carried forward. And what about the NCCD? NCCD 10,000 available, NCCD payable 5,000. Balance you have to pay in cash. Same is the case with health cess. Balance you have to pay in cash. Suppose in the question I say clean environment cess is also payable. Say 2,000 rupees. How do you pay? This cannot be paid from any CENVAT credit at all. So this is again in cash only. This is always in cash. At least NCCD health cess, for that there is a possibility. But in this case that is not possible. It is always in cash. I think you understand the matching principle. Try to understand this, because once you understand the matching principle, remaining CENVAT credit scheme becomes somewhat comfortable, manageable. Okay. So this is actually a main area where you have to know, we have to understand. Okay. And what about the changes? Now let us move into other changes one by one. Of course, in CENVAT credit scheme, this time, that means in 2016, there are plenty of changes, small changes, but no doubt relevant for examination. We can't ignore them. So what are the changes? So other changes, I put this like this, other changes. Other changes in CCR. What are the other changes in CCR? I will put it like this. Number 1, definitions. The changes that have taken place in definitions. Of course, I need not tell you, very important. Rule 2A. Rule 2A is about capital goods. Capital goods. What are the changes? And then rule 2K, inputs. These two are very, very important. And others. I will simply put as others. And rule 3, not major, of course already I have discussed it. Rule 3, rule 4, and rule 5, not significant, nothing is there. Rule 6. So rule 4, how come it has been see, thanks to the technology. Rule 4, it cannot be in brackets, no? Okay. Rule 6, of course, obviously, Rule 6 always undergoes changes. Ever since I have started teaching, I have seen that almost every year there is a change in Rule 6, and go ahead. There are so many articles, there are so many recommendations. A lot of time is being spent on Rule 6. Even till today, it did not undergo much reform. And in 2016 also, they have almost redrafted the Rule 6. Of course, retaining the same concept, conceptual change is not there, but it is there. Rule 6, of course, input service distributor, Rule 7, they have almost redrafted, this concept is same. And they have added a rule called Rule 7B. Earlier it was not there, now they have added Rule 7B. Okay? And Rule 8, routine, Rule 9, Rule 9A. See, what they have done is, Nine A, it is about filing of returns. They have changed the name and structure of the return. You can say annual returns. Now it is called annual return. Rule 9A. Okay? And above all, there is an interesting change. Why I call this interesting? because interesting is interesting only. That is rule 14. So rule 14 has been the target of frequent changes nowadays, and from rule 2012 onwards, 2012 to 2016, at least 3-4 times there are changes. In 2014, 15 they have changed, and again 2016 they have removed the change almost. Why they have added something, why they have removed, they alone know. But anyway, there is a change in rule 14. Recovery rule. If there is something wrong, government has mechanism to recover. How to recover? They know that. Okay? So these are the areas where we have changes. Right? So we will look into these changes one by one, carefully and coolly. We'll be back. Okay?